Donald Trump's Justice Department has just dumped the Epstein files, 3 million pages and 180,000 images from the investigation into the late pedophile billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, friend of presidents, royalty, tycoons and famous people all over the world. And this is just going to add to the disgust over how such a creep and a user, a man already convicted for soliciting sex from a 14-year-old, still had so many people at his beck and call, looking for maybe the young girls he pimped out, or the money he handed out, or the favours he might do. Now, top of the list of Andrew is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrews. This time filmed propped over a woman like a hungry dog, other photos of him pawing her. And then there's the British ambassador, Lord Peter Mandelson, snapped here in his underpants. Epstein gave Mandelson and his husband more than $100,000, although Mandelson says, oh, I don't quite remember that. Strange memory. Mandelson has now lost his job as ambassador and resigned from the Labour Party. And there's so much more. I mean, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, he was at the Australian Open Women's Final on Saturday. He was an Epstein crony. And Epstein claims Gates got a sexually transmitted disease from a Russian woman that Epstein supplied. Gates says it's all lies. Epstein's emails, in fact, mention Russian girls so often and boasts of his Russian contacts so often and his pool in Russia that there's now suspicions that he might have even been used by the Russians to blackmail influential people. But who knows? Joining me from London is Monday regular and Talk TV host Samara Gill. Samara, great to see you again. Look, obviously the latest photographs and emails starring Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, that's the biggest news from this information dump, certainly in Britain. More embarrassment for the King to have such a brother.
You know, you're completely right. I think it's interesting, though, because the King has had more or taken more accountability for Andrew's actions than Keir Starmer has for Lord Mandelson. You know, the King was very quick in a way to cut off Andrew as soon as everything came out, you know, this past year. Whereas Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, has not even removed the party whip from, from Mandelson. And Mandelson just resigned from the Labour Party last night. So it's interesting to see how the two characters are managing their acolytes. And I think the King is coming out on top, even though Andrew remains a massive problem for them. I mean, I was just sifting through some of the emails last night and some of the things that Fergie said to Epstein. I mean, they're genuinely like Tweedledee and Tweedledum. When you read what they said, oh, please marry me. You're my favorite. It's like they would do anything for a couple of $1,000, Andrew.
Oh, it is so grabby. I was so sick. And remember, this is a pedophile, a convicted pedophile. Even when they were trying to, wheedle favours out of him, they must have known. The British Prime Minister has now urged Andrew to give evidence in the US about his links to Epstein. Is that ever going to happen?
I think that with the Prime Minister's pressure, with potentially the King's pressure, who knows if that will happen, that he should. I mean, those images, as you said, are absolutely horrific. This is someone who is in line to the British throne. And the fact that he exploited for years, or allegedly exploited, many women. I mean, we talk about why don't other sort of victims come out? A lot of people say that because Virginia Giuffre is obviously the most high profile one. The reason is, yes, a lot of them were Eastern European Russians who couldn't speak English, who were vulnerable. Some of them were French as well. They preyed upon working class girls, many of them from very, very poor, underprivileged backgrounds, and totally exploited them. And Andrew should absolutely pay the highest price for what he did or didn't do.
Yeah, but so far he's managed not to give evidence, not to go anywhere near US, where the US could grab him. I don't know. It's the whole thing is so sad. But you mentioned Lord Mandelson. I mean, he has escaped pretty lightly, even though he's lost his job. I mean, I find it absolutely incredible that a guy who was a lord and an ambassador to the US for Britain can accept this cash, should hang out with this creep, should allow himself to be photographed in his underpants. I mean, surely this guy should face very serious examination too, shouldn't he?
You know, one of my favorite sayings is the problem with smart men is that they are stupid. And I think everyone says, you know, about Mandelson, oh, he's this genius. He reinvigorated the Labour Party. He's a firebrand. No, he's an idiot. And the fact is that he got fired. I mean, this is his fourth sort of cancellation. This is the fourth time he's almost been fired. This time he did it himself. He clings on to power like no tomorrow. And in terms of the consequences, I mean, hopefully he goes off into the shadows, never to be seen again. But this is a guy who claimed that his dog was sick for many weeks so that he could stay in the ambassador's residence in New York and in Washington, his two different residences that he had there. This is someone who only really cares about the finer things in life, as we can see. So I don't think he's going to face any consequences, to be honest. He's pinning it all on his partner, De Silva, these money transactions that have come out overnight. He's someone who does lie and doesn't take accountability. And unfortunately, it's a real stain on the Labour Party when they don't need that right now. We're coming into elections, and he just looks like he's completely part of the institutional problem.
We mentioned Sarah Ferguson, but essentially most of the people buzzing around that honeypot were men. You're looking at that, a guy like Epstein attracting so many powerful men to his orbit. What do you think of men after that?
I don't have an issue with men in general, Andrew, but what I do have an issue is that I don't think Epstein was a power broker. I think he was a parasite orbiting power. That's what it clearly seems. I mean, even with the Putin thing, as I was reading the hundreds of emails I could get through, it looks like he was going after Putin. He was going after all these powerful men and then trying to manipulate them. And I think what we had is many years ago, people who didn't want to confront that they weren't above the law. All these powerful men did act like they were above the law. Of course, Mandelson is gay. He said that he hasn't been involved in any of the exploitation of the girls. But the thing is, he turned a blind eye, it seems, because it seems like he was extremely privy to what was going on.
Exactly.
And I don't know if I could scrub that image out of my head of him in his underpants, Andrew. It's disgusting.
No, they're not Harrod's underpants, I'll tell you that much. Samara Gill, thank you so much for your time.